I'm loyal to the oil,
Everybody
baby.
keeps doubting them coming into the series.
You keep fucking doubting them.
That's why I said everybody. I
Yeah.
am everybody. Also, the entire hockey media world, too.
I have not been doubting the Oilers. They were my preseason Stanley Cup pick. They were my midseason Stanley Cup pick. My postseason Stanley Cup pick. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Checking From Behind podcast. I'm your host, Zach, as always, joined by my co-host, Preston, and we're bringing you guys another banger of an episode. We have a lot to talk about. The second round of the playoffs, it's underway. We also had the NHL Draft Lottery that took place on Monday evening, and surprise, surprise, the New York fucking Islanders won the Draft Lottery. They jumped up 9 spots. That was a surprise. I thought it was going to be either San Jose, Chicago, or Nashville, or the Predators, like one of those teams. I think I picked the Flyers to get it on the live stream. And,
I said Seattle.
And that would have been nice. I would have enjoyed seeing Seattle, but congratulations to the New York Islanders for getting the first overall pick.
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, that was, I think, switching the way the lottery worked was honestly a good move for the NHL. I think I like that a lot, like the live drawing a lot better than just revealing the cards and drawing it out for a half hour, because you can't fake it. And I really liked that they were showing the odds that every team had after each ball was drawn. Part of it that gives me pain is there's a picture I saw online of I think it was number 15 or 13.
It was 13.
13 was the ball the Islanders needed to win the lottery, and the Sabres needed number 2, and that was the ball right behind it. Pain.
And I heard something too on Twitter that if the Sabres would have beat the Islanders one time, they would have that number 13 ball, and we'd be picking first overall.
I mean, you could look at a billion different things. The Islanders won regardless, so congratulations to them. They really lucked into getting a really good player when they really need one really badly.
And going around social media and doing a little bit of my research, there's no consensus number one in this draft. This is the weaker of the drafts that we've had the last 2 years. And then also the next 3 years, we have a McKenna, we have a DuPont, et cetera. You can go down the list. But also the Islanders get their pick of either Schaefer, which I think they should go Schaefer. But they can also get a Misa as well. And I think those are going to be the two guys that, for the Islanders, weigh your options. We talked about this on our live stream during it after we found out the Islanders won, was that, do you want to get that another franchise defenseman to pair with Dobson, or do you want to pair somebody with Barzal, and Barzal can play the wing or he can play center? And it could be, not comparing this, but it can be a situation where down the line, you need a goal, you throw Barzal on the wing and then throw Misa center and then pair them up, kind of like what they do with Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, kind of what the Avalanche did with whether it was Ranson and Landeskog, McKinnon back before Landeskog's injury, etc. So I think the Islanders, they do have a good choice here, just unfortunately. I guess I shouldn't say unfortunately, because they are getting the first overall pick. But nevertheless, though, this is not the draft to do it. And that's not a shade at any of these players that are top 3, top 5. It's more of a how ridiculously good.
Well, I think with Schaefer, I think he's the smarter pick here, because you can't turn away a potential number 1 defenseman, because those are so hard to find. And I do think he has a really, really high ceiling. I think with a lot of these players, especially in the top 10, I wouldn't say it's a horrible draft class.
No, it's not bad by any means. There's a lot of center depth.
I would say like this top 3 is definitely better than the 2019 draft.
Yeah.
Nico Hischier draft.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was 2017.
No, that's 2017.
Yeah, the 2017 I think is the worst top 3 I could think of in recent memory. Because number 2 was Nolan Patrick. Unfortunately, he's no longer playing due to injuries. And I think Pierre-Luc Dubois was the 3rd pick in that draft, which was a surprise pick. He ended up being pretty good, but that was a shocker when that happened.
Yeah, and I'm going – so I did my top 21 mock draft, like my first official mock draft. This is loaded with center depth. You have
yes.
in my top 10 – sorry, in my top 8, because I don't have a center going 9 or 10th, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 centers in my top 8, and I have all centers going from 4th to 8th. And if you're a team that needs a winger or a defenseman outside of the Islanders, you're not going to get a defenseman until probably just outside of the top 10. I have the Sabres taking a defenseman at 9th.
Would be dumb.
But outside of – why do you say that'd be dumb?
They don't need another defenseman.
Their defenseman prospect pool sucks.
They have Darlene, Power, and Byram. They're good.
Their forward prospect pool is
they
a lot
need a
better.
center.
And this is
we're not doing this right now.
No. But real quick though, That's why I'd rather I have them trade in a pick. Anyways, that's besides the point. This draft class, if you need a wing, go to 10 to 12 or 10 to 15 or whatever. But either way, though, it's loaded. And congratulations to the Islanders. And Utah moved up 9 spots.
I think that's the more surprising thing to me is Utah winning a pick
They moved up from 14
to 4.
to 4.
Yeah, they would have moved up to 2, but you're not allowed to move up more than 10 spots. So that means San Jose still gets 2, and San Jose slides to 2, and Chicago slides to 3. But just getting back to the Islanders real quick, I think, as you said, this is a kind of a loaded center depth draft. So I think that even makes it more sense to get Schaefer because I think he's by far the best defenseman in this draft, and you can get another good center later in the draft. Potentially trade back into the first round if you want to. But you can't pass up a player that good. It kind of reminds me of like Owen Power's draft where there was a ton of forward depth, but the defensive draft after like Owen Power and Luke Hughes, there wasn't really a lot there.
It dropped off
and you can't really pass up the potential of like Owen Power at the time. Gigantic left shot defenseman, potential number 1 defenseman. Like it's hard to pass up guys like that.
Yeah, and we mentioned Utah a little bit. They're going to be called the Mammoth at the draft because they have officially revealed their nickname. Of course, it was leaked on their YouTube username, that Mammoth, that it got taken out right away. Either way, though, I like this name. I love the logo. I love the jerseys. I don't know how I feel about the second and third logo. It's just kind of like a tusk and like a
I
U
don't like the main logo. I think it looks like a random like a generated logo from Chell.
At first, that's what I thought. And then I watched the video, and the video itself was really put together well, but the actual logo, there's like the snowy mountains on like the top and everything, and you have the tusk, and overall I think it's a good logo and it's firing. I don't know, I get it looks like a Chell logo first glance, that's what I thought, but again, taking a deeper look into it, I genuinely enjoy it.
I like the road jerseys a lot. I like the kind of stealing like the Ranger style with the Utah diagonally. I do like the Utah, like the state logo as well. I like those a lot. I'm not a fan of the main logo, and I'm not a fan of the main jerseys. I think they're just too plain.
You see, I have that, but I like the white ones a lot. The
white ones are nice.
The black ones, they're average to me. I don't think nothing pops or stands out to me, but the white ones though are nice and clean. And overall, I'm more of a fan of white jerseys, anyways. Even though I don't have any white jerseys up here, but that's besides the point.
I don't know if this is how many people think of this, but I think teams should go back to wearing whites at home.
I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea.
Because I like speaking as a Sabres fan, I think their road jerseys are so much nicer than their home jerseys.
A lot of teams' road jerseys are so much nicer.
Well, they used to wear the road jerseys, like the white jerseys, back in the day at home. I don't know when they stopped doing that, but I think it would be nice if they went back to wearing the road jerseys at home.
That would be so nice. I know there's been a little bit of talk about all the major four pro sports just going back to white jerseys at home, and I think that's clean. Let's hop into the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll start in the Eastern Conference with Toronto against Florida. The series is 1-0 right now. They're currently playing Game 2 at the moment. The main concern coming out of that series was Stolarz taking an elbow to the head from Sam Bennett. There were no disciplinary actions, no fine, no suspension, nothing. But something to note is that shortly before that, he did take a shot off of the head from Sam Reinhart. So that I think that has a little bit to do with the impact, and I think the elbow was the final blow, and Stolarz ended up having to actually leave the arena in a stretcher.
You go to the hospital. Yeah, whenever you're puking from a head injury, you should go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like that's not a good, just as a precautionary thing. He ended up being okay. So I'm assuming he's going to be out for at least a week or two, recovering from that concussion.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with head injuries, and the problem is there's no real good way to tell how you're recovering from a head injury because they can't just test your brain. Like it's kind of how are you feeling day by day. You can have really good days where like I'm good, and then the next days where you have like a migraine and the light's hurting your eyes, and so it's up and down. But thankfully for the Maple Leafs, they do have a pretty good backup in Joseph Woll in this playoff, so I wouldn't panic too much if I'm the Leafs. I think Woll can hold down the fort for now. He kind of was thrown to the Wolves in Game 1. And, Florida did almost come back in that game, but Toronto held up, and I think that was really big for Toronto, despite all of that, to still hold on and get that win.
Yeah, they went up 4-1. Stolarz goes out. Florida gets 2 quick ones on Woll. It's like, holy shit, like, The Maple Leafs of old could have been like, we're fucked and just
Yeah.
bottled up and just lost that game like 6-4, for example, right? No, they did not. Matthew Knies scored the 5th goal, I believe it was, and it's like 5-3 with like 6-8 minutes left, whatever. Florida gets home with like 2 minutes left, and it's like, can the Panthers side up, send it to overtime? The Maple Leafs hold strong. They steal a game on the road because they're underdogs in the series, and
Well, they're at home.
the Leafs. Sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought. Sorry, I'm thinking Florida's the better team here. I mean, they are. No shot to the Maple Leafs fans, but yeah, they ended up getting one at home against the Florida Panthers, and
I think it was just big for their confidence because, they played Florida in the second round a couple of years ago, and they got their butts kicked, to say it simply. And I think it was really big for them just to go into game one, have some adversity, and win despite that. And I think that is really going to help grow their confidence.
And what I'm really impressed at is, in our previous episode, doing our predictions, I was like, Nylander and Matthew Knies, they have to continue their play from round one. They have to step up, especially if Barkov is going to be matched up with Matthews. And Nylander and Knies were the two best players for the Maple Leafs, I thought. And also props to Berube to not backing down to Barkov's line and be like, we don't trust Matthews' line against him. No. Puck drop. It was Matthews against Barkov's line. Going at it. Berube's like, no, we're going to fucking swing back. And we're not scared of these guys. This is not Sheldon Keefe. This is Craig Berube. Won a Stanley Cup with the Blues in 2019. Took them to multiple playoff appearances. Gave the Avalanche the best fight in the 2022 Cup run where the Avalanche killed everybody in their path. And now the Maple Leafs are up 1-0. I'll check the score in a second. But either way, though, I felt like that was a very important win. If the Maple Leafs came out and either A, they laid an egg, or B, they ended up losing, it's like, here we go again.
It's 1-1 first
it's 1-1.
intermission.
Okay.
Max Pacioretty scored, man.
Max Pacioretty's been pretty solid for them in the playoffs.
I honestly, before he scored that goal against Ottawa, I forgot he was even on the Leafs.
The only reason I knew about him was, don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, but I think just this series is kind of far from over. It was just game one. Game one is usually a feeling out process. It usually starts off a bit slower. Toronto did take it to him to start the game. Florida did make some adjustments to get back, and I expect game two, like it's 1-1 right now. Probably be close to being over by the time we're finished recording. But Paul Maurice is one of the best coaches in the business, and so is Craig Berube. I think there's going to be a lot of good tactics going back and forth from both of them. I think it's going to be a fun series. I think I wanted to see that game one out of Toronto because I'm going to be honest with you, I wasn't very confident in them being able to beat the Panthers. I think I took Panthers in 6.
Yeah, you did.
And you took them in 5.
Yep.
So we might be eating our words there, but Toronto hadn't given me reason to believe in them, and especially if they end up winning game 2 tonight, I think they win the series.
I'm by your side. I'm agreeing with you for the first time in this episode. I do believe if the Leafs pull out game 2, if they go back to Florida 2-0.
They need to just win one game in Florida.
You just win one game in Florida in games 3 or 4, I think it's wraps.
You come back to Toronto with a 3-1 lead.
Although Toronto almost blew a lead against Ottawa.
But I think that was really important for them too. I love how we're talking about Toronto like they're a young team, but they've choked so many times in so many different ways. I think it was really big for them to face that adversity against Ottawa, and I'm sure it was all in the back of their heads like, shit, this can't be happening again. And for them to overcome it and just go get into the second round and start the second round off a good note.
You know what? Berube is the perfect coach for this team. Freeman brought up a nice little interesting thing on the 32 Thoughts podcast earlier this morning. Berube, of course, we all know he was the coach of the 2019 team. That hand pass that Erik Karlsson had, the no-call hand pass, it was the game-winning goal. Western Conference Finals, Sharks in that series go up 2-1. It happened in Game 3. Friedman said Berube went in the locker room and said, it's over. Get the fuck over it. We move on to Game 4. And guess what? They rattled off 3 straight wins, won the series in 6 games, went on to the finals. They were down 3-2 against the Bruins. Bruins could have closed it out twice, and they didn't. And the Blues beat Boston at TD Garden. And Berube being the coach inside of this locker room, being like, you know what? The past years of you guys blowing this shit, it's fucking over now. It's a new culture now. We're going to go out. We're going to show the entire league, the entire Eastern Conference that we're going to make it out of the Eastern Conference Finals and win the entire damn thing. Show the league that we're capable of overcoming the first round. Second round, you get the Panthers, the defending Cup champs, back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals champs. Be like, you know what? Stab them in the throat. Be like, you know what? We're coming to take your lunch money, type of deal.
I'm not sure if he's pinning the message like we need to prove the whole world wrong. I think he's just trying to prove themselves wrong and just kind of get the belief going in the locker room. Like, I would say the message is, who gives a shit what everybody else thinks? Who cares? Just go out. You know how good you are. Look, we won our division. You guys have been great every year. We make the playoffs every year. Like, what's been stopping you? What is holding you back? Just forget about it. Just go and play hockey. We know. Listen to me. I'll tell you what you need to do in games, but if we need to make adjustments, but just go and focus on playing hockey. Do not worry about anything else.
And I feel like the message that Berube is giving these boys is exactly what they needed.
Yeah, I mean, they're listening to it. I mean, a lot of people who have played for Greg Berube love him. So, he's definitely a coach that the more you put into it, the more he'll work with you and push you to be your best self.
Yeah, and it is nice, too, that the depth is stepping up for the Maple Leafs a little bit, as well as having your core four guys also.
I mean, they've been terrific, especially I think Willie Nylander's been the best out of the core four so far in these whole playoffs. He's been really good.
Right now, he's second on my Conn Smythe leaderboard behind Rantanen. And
I think if the Leafs won the Cup at this rate, like with how the whole team's been playing, I think Willie Nylander would be the MVP.
Right now, if we're talking about just the Leafs, Nylander gets it. And it might be a landslide at this point. The next series up on our agenda, the Washington Capitals against the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina leads the series 1-0. And the Canes dominated game one for most of it. The shots were lopsided. And I've seen a lot of stuff saying this is the time of year where the Canes get a lot of low-danger shots and against a really good goaltender, and people are like, oh, well, they're just getting absolutely robbed by these great goaltenders, and the Carolina Hurricanes don't have it. Last night, they legitimately dominated the game, and they were down 1-0, and it's like, how is this possible? You have a prototype, by the way, has been phenomenal for the Capitals all season, including playoffs since coming back from injury.
You kind of got a lucky goal, but
I still thought that was wait, are you talking about last night's goal?
Yeah.
How was it lucky?
It was off the left side. It was off the rush. It was just a quick shot, caught Anderson off guard.
I don't know how that's lucky. He shot it in and it went in, glove side.
I think Anderson most of the time would save that.
Yeah, but he didn't this time.
That's what I mean by it's a save that Anderson should have had.
He should have had it, but it was a good shot.
So it was a lucky goal.
It was not lucky. It was a good shot.
But anyway, but this is the kind of hockey the Hurricanes want to play. This is their system where they just overwhelm you. They don't care where they're shooting it. They're just getting pucks on net, and eventually one's going to go in. You're just going to exhaust all the defensemen, everyone, because it's a lot more tiring to play defense than offense. And, Logan Thompson was a big reason why the game was remotely close. I thought he was really good. And they did have a lot of low-danger shots, but that's the point. You get it on net, and you get battles in front, and you get those loose rebound goals. And the Caps just looked overwhelmed by the third period. They were exhausted.
Logan Thompson was holding them in that game for most of it. And you had Logan Stankoven. It finally happened. They finally got Stankoven open in front of Thompson, and he was able to bury it. And then Jacob Slavin, who, by the way, is still top 10 defenseman in my eyes, the beta wall, by the way, guys. He wins the game for the Carolina Hurricanes, and now they go up 1-0 in the series and stealing a game in Washington. That game was a lot. It was more lopsided than what the score indicated.
Oh, yeah. If you just look at the shot attempts, Washington had 32 blocked shots, and Carolina had 33 shots on net. So that's over 60 shots there, plus shots that went wide. Carolina, I think, had well over 80 shot attempts in that game.
There's a lot of times we've seen Carolina in the past where they'll give you 35, 40 shots in a playoff game, but it's like, damn, they lost 3-1. They just ran into a hot goaltender. They lose in 6 games. They lose in 7 games and this type of stuff. And this year, this is where I believe the Hurricanes and the Maple Leafs overcome those demons and they on a crash course. I still have Panthers in 5, but I'm saying like Hurricanes and the Maple Leafs overcoming stuff together and the Hurricanes or the Maple Leafs getting into the finals, I think would be poetic justice.
I mean, I'm curious to see if Carolina can keep this up for more games because that kind of hockey is really hard to play on a consistent basis. And it's just really taxing. You're constantly being aggressive, a lot of physical contact. That would be my main concern for Carolina. Washington will make adjustments. I expect them to be better in game 2. they have a good enough team to adjust to that kind of play. I think they were kind of caught off guard with how aggressive Carolina was in game one. I think it was Carolina that wanted to come out there and send the Caps a message like, look, we're not going to be bitched around. We're going to dominate you, and you're going to have to earn every goal. Like, yeah, Protas got, I would say, kind of a lucky goal. Save Anderson should have had, but other than that, Washington had nothing the whole game.
I'm still not liking the fact you're calling it lucky. Like, it's a save
It's
that
fine.
Anderson should have
It's
had.
fine if you score lucky goals. A goal's a goal no matter how it goes in.
I know, but it feels like you're taking everything away from Protas here.
I'm not. No, he's a great player, and I'm not taking anything away from him. But I'm just saying,
like,
Anderson should have saved it.
And of course, it's a. There's always those goals that you're like, man, the goalie should have had that. Like, sure, that's one of them. But also, he shot a glove side. Like it's. I'm more defining a lucky goal in my terms of it being like, there's nothing that Anderson could have done about it, as in like, I don't know, hits off the post, it hits off your back, goes in, or like off the end
I would
boards,
say a lucky
that type
goal
of
is a
stuff.
goal, in my definition, a goal that shouldn't go in, and it ends up going in.
So, like,
whether it's off a post or that goal Colorado scored when they got kicked it in on like a soccer windmill kick.
The Blackwood one where it's up in the air, hits off his back. Okay, those are the type of goals I'm talking about. I mean, I guess
I would say those goals are more like bullshit goals. Like, it was like, what the fuck are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
I would say like that kind of goal is like where you just look at Anderson like, man.
Can we like get a save there?
Yeah, and then Protas is probably going to the match. He's like, shit, I didn't think I was going to score there. I got lucky.
You're just, I mean, I guess putting it on net and it happens to go in one of those where it's like, oh shit, I scored.
Or it's like when you're shooting from like below the goal line. This doesn't happen very often, where like the goalie's not hugged to the post enough and it squeaks through. Like,
we saw that with the Piranha one.
That's a lucky goal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would say those what you said were lucky, but I mean, a goalie should have had it. A goalie should have had it. I don't look at those as lucky goals. But again, different definitions. Anyways, that's besides the point. Quick time out before we get back to the episode, you beauties. As someone like myself who's into fitness and needs a little bit of an extra boost before a lift, or maybe I need just a little bit of energy before my next hockey game, and even when doing pod stuff to bring you guys the best content possible, W always has me covered. Whether you needed to stay awake at work or need a little bit of a jolt to get you through the day, W will always provide you that spark you need. There's no sugar, no crash, no artificial flavors or artificial dyes, just flavored caffeine. 150 milligrams of caffeine and one serving, which is equivalent to 2 cups of coffee. Make sure to head over to w.gg and use code CFB Pod for 10% off any order. The Western Conference. We have Edmonton against Vegas. The Oilers.
I'm loyal to the
Everybody
oil, baby.
keeps doubting them coming into the series.
You keep fucking doubting them.
That's why I said everybody.
Yeah.
I am everybody. Also, the entire hockey media world, too.
I have not been doubting the Oilers. They were my preseason Stanley Cup pick. They were my midseason Stanley Cup pick. My postseason Stanley Cup pick. Let's go.
The Oilers, it would be sick, though, having Edmonton and Dallas in the Western Conference Finals.
I mean, if Edmonton keeps this up, I think it will happen.
Who we both predicted, those are our two teams that come out of the Western Conference and both win the cup. So that would be interesting. Going back to the series, Edmonton's up 1-0 nonetheless. The Oilers scored 4 unanswered goals to win 4-2 in game 1. After the first period, I don't watch any of this game. I got all my knowledge from just social media. The Oilers, after the first period, they suffocated Vegas. They allowed 7 shots, I believe you told me.
So, yeah, after the first period, Vegas kind of took it to them in the first period. Like, not the greatest period. Pickard probably let in a kind of weak goal, 5-hole. It was kind of like, he's like, are they going to have to pull Pickard? Like, because he did not look good in the first period. I mean, Hayden Hill was making some really good. Hayden Hill had an excellent game yesterday. He was the only reason why it was even 4-2, because Vegas did not play well. But after the first period, we say Carolina dominated Washington. I would say what Edmonton did to Vegas is way worse than what Carolina did to Washington, because Vegas they had one power play where they got some shots, but other than that, I think they had 2 shots, 5-on-5, for 40 minutes.
The Oilers' depth has been not a concern whatsoever. Their defense without Ekholm has not been a concern whatsoever. And if you're an Oilers fan, as these playoffs continue, you have to feel better, because it's like We don't need McDavid and Draisaitl to go nuclear every single game to win games now. We have Connor Brown stepping up. We have Zach Hyman, Nugent Hopkins. Evander Kane has made his presence felt since coming back from injury. Bouchard, offensively, he has been enough offensively where his defense liabilities aren't showing. And even then, he's being better defensively. It feels like Knobloch, after Game 2 of the LA Kings, told these boys to get their heads out of their fucking asses and play hockey. And they have been.
I would be concerned about their slow starts because every game they've won, they've come back from behind. They were down multiple goals.
Speaking of, it is an NHL record for a team to have 5 straight playoff wins that are all comeback wins.
Because, they almost did it in game 1-2 against LA where they were down and they should not have even been in that game. Mm-hmm. That's my main concern about the Oilers is like, you don't want to keep that going because that's not a good trend. Like I think in every game they did not score the first goal this playoffs.
That is correct.
And they couldn't catch LA in game 1 or 2, and then they ended up overcoming them for the rest of that series. Same thing with against Vegas last night. But Vegas is not the Los Angeles Kings. They have a coach that knows what he's doing. They have a much better roster. I thought for the most part Jack Eichel had a very good game. He was matched up against Connor McDavid, and McDavid was getting frustrated when Eichel was on him. But McDavid was just relentless last night. That whole team was relentless. They just did not give up. They did not give in. But they have to have better starts to games. Like it's non-negotiable. I don't know because let's say you beat Vegas, you end up playing Winnipeg or Dallas in the conference final. You can't have those kinds of starts against those kinds of teams. You're not going to get lucky every game and be able to have this miraculous comeback every single time. You have to start better.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that take at all. You want to play a full 60 minutes because even a team like Vegas, let's say in game 2 tomorrow night, Vegas goes up 2-0. Do you think Bruce Cassidy is going to allow them to blow a 2-0 lead this season again? No, he's not. They're going to have to work to come back down from 2-0 even harder than what they did in game 1. You know what happens? Maybe they tie the game, but guess what? Maybe Vegas makes it 3-2, and then it's 4-2 and it's empty netter. And guess what? Series is tied 1-1 going back to Edmonton. So you have to play these full 60 minutes. And if Edmonton does play a full 60 minutes and they get the first goal in game 1 and they continue their pressure, I'm feeling great if I'm Edmonton because now we've seen this team be able to come back from wins, but also take the lead and hold on to the lead for the entire game. And of course, that's not going to be a trend the entire playoffs. You're going to end up losing the playoffs at some point in the playoffs unless they just go undefeated the rest of the way, which isn't going to happen.
I mean, I don't think they're going to sweep Vegas. Vegas is too good of a team to be swept. I could be wrong. I think Vegas will be much, much better in game 2. I mean, yeah, credit to the Oilers. They played really well, but like I said, they have to start games better. Calvin Pickard's been kind of a revelation for them, but he didn't have much work to do after the first period in game 1.
He's 5-0 in his playoff starts.
Yeah, but
nuts.
And like you said, the depth has been showing up. So good signs so far, but I would feel way more better about this team if they every game they've not started well.
Here's a little tidbit that I ended up actually hearing on the 30 Thoughts podcast. 5v5 without McDavid and Draisaitl this season. They were outscored 88-66. Last season's playoffs outscored 21-12. However, the playoffs so far this season, including game 1, 11-7. So again,
they're being outscored 11-7.
Sorry, no, they're outscoring their opponents 11-7. Excuse me. Yeah, but either way though, I do agree with your point about they got to start faster. Winnipeg against Dallas. They haven't played a game yet, but they do play a game tonight by the time you guys are listening and watching this. Game 1 is tonight. And there's 2 things that I'm looking for in this series. A, playoff Helly is number 1. That is number 1. Is he going to hold up against a much better Dallas team than a St. Louis team? And number 2, is Rantanen going to continue his on pace? And can we have the depth step up for Dallas? But also, I believe it is for the injury reports, we have Heiskin. They don't know if he's going to be good to go as of Monday, and Robertson is a game-time decision today.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about the Winnipeg Jets is they did go 4-0 at home in the first round, and Connor Hellebuck played really well. Played for the most part pretty well at the home games. It's on the road where we've seen playoff Helly show up. So I think it's big that they have home ice because if they go 4-0 at home again, they're going to the conference final. They're going to win the Stanley Cup if they keep winning every home game.
Yeah,
because this team does play different on home. I mean, they did have a literally miracle to come back in Game 7 against the Blues.
That was a ridiculous game.
I mean, that was a ridiculous weekend. That Game 7, we thought Dallas and Colorado was crazy for Game 7, and then that game happened. You're like, what the hell?
It was like a hold my beer thing.
Yeah.
It was 3-1, and it's like Vegas, not Vegas. Winnipeg's about to really get upset, and then 3-2, and then with 1.6 seconds left, Cole Perfetti.
What a tip. What a tip.
Not only that, but also
The first goal he scored was an amazing tip, too.
that was great.
Yeah.
And to have the balls from Ehlers on the far left point with 4 seconds left to rip a pass cross ice like that.
I don't think that was a
instead
pass. I think it was just a bad shot.
No, I'm talking. Wait, was Ehlers on the right wing? I thought he was on the left
On
point.
the game-tying goal?
Yeah, no, who was on the left point then?
That was I think that was an over. I don't know. I think someone passed it to him and Ehlers fanned on the shot.
No, I'm not. Ehlers also passed across ice for the one-timer on the right circle.
Are you talking about the overtime goal?
No, this is the game tying goal.
I'm pretty sure the game tying goal came from the boards.
The game time board came from the right point. It got passed over. As a
I don't know. I
one-timer.
don't remember.
I mean, the balls to pass it over like that is ridiculous. 4 seconds left. Most players just shoot that to get some type of maybe lucky bounce in. To get that one timer, it was ridiculous. And of course, what a rip by Perfetti. And yeah, and Winnipeg's their injury side, Mark Scheifele is not expected to play once again. His third straight game missed. Logan Stanley and Morrissey are a game time decision, so we will see if they play. But either way, though, both of these teams dealing with some injury issues.
I mean, Dallas came over. I mean, not much has changed for Dallas because they went the whole first round without Heiskanen and Robertson, so they're just getting them back.
Which is a huge boost.
Yeah, you're only getting two of your best players back.
Oh, Rantanen is my bad.
Oh, Rantanen has been their best player. Yeah,
No, he has.
But you're getting Jason Robertson back and your number one defenseman and Miro Heiskanen back very soon, which great time to get healthy.
It is, and it boggles my mind that they were able to get past a Colorado team that I thought were one of the deepest teams after they overhauled their team this season.
The problem with that is their depth didn't really show up.
It didn't show up.
Brock Nelson was bad. Brock Nelson was bad.
He was really bad. Coyle at times he showed up, but other times he didn't. It was like a very inconsistent play from him, and the list goes on and on and on. That's going to end it for today's episode. If you guys enjoy all of our content, all of our socials are down below as well as the subscribe button. Head over to our Instagram. That is linked down below for more exclusive content as well. And we'll see you guys in our next episode.